What is up, my showers and growers? It is the Sound Alchemist here to bring you 40 facts on the Warhammer 40k universe. Today I've been going through the brand spanking new 8th edition codex for the Grey Knights, and they've got some new things in there. So I thought, let me bring you guys a little bit of lore on the new, units, so to speak, that are in this new codex. So we have Grandmaster Voldus, the Warden of the Librarius, finally in this book. There was rules for him and a model that came out back with the Triumvirate of the Primarch, I believe that's what it was called. And now he's actually in the codex, so we're going to go through him. There are now chaplains in the Grey Knights, so we're going to talk about those. And then my favorite thing is you can now use Grandmasters in Dread Knight armor. So that's going to be probably one of the things that I'm going to bring to every game, because that's just amazing sauce right there. And lastly, they got some flyers. So we'll go through that today, and then we'll see what we do tomorrow. But for now, let's dive into a little bit of lore on Grandmaster Voldus. Aldrich Voldus, the Grand Master of the Word Makers, wields more psychic might than any Grey Knight ever seen before. The very air crackles around him as he focuses his mind and bends the colossal energies of the warp to his will. With a single word, purifying flames pour forth from the head of his ornate Nemesis demon hammer, the Malleus Angrium, turning chaos-tainted flesh, bone, and armor into pillars of ash. Heretic war engines shudder and halt as their twisted machine spirits are rent from their chassis. In Voldus's grip, reality constricts, and the helms of his enemies are crushed by invisible waves of force. Just as he easily can focus the minds of his fellow Grey Knights, allowing them to strike true at their foes amidst the fog of war, or channel their psychic reserves into strikes that can fell all but the largest of demons. Now Voldus himself is a dauntless fighter, having battled in strike forces with the Third Brotherhood on not one, but two demon worlds within the Eye of Terror. With every deft swing of the perfectly balanced Malleus Angrium, Voldus shatters those before him. The boom of thunder sounds with each strike as channeled psychic energies are unleashed upon his victims. It was only at the onset of the gathering storm that Voldus was made Grand Master of the Third Brotherhood and Warden of the Librarius. The position is renowned for being dangerous and perhaps even cursed. The previous warden, Dorium Nathium, was only recently promoted to Grand Master at the time of his death, and during his fourth mission in his role led to the World Makers to a demonic incursion on the fortress world of Longhallow to extract the precious relics held there. When the Lord of Change, Macachin, tore from the warp into real space and slew Narathim, it was Brother Voldus who unleashed the full force of his psychic power on this greater demon. Perhaps guided by the pure empiric light, Grandmaster Kaldor Drago emerged from the Immaterium and joined the battle. With their wills united, the two Grey Knights banished Macachin, sending him writhing back into the veil of the warp. In the wake of this battle, Drago himself appointed the humble Voldus to the rank of Grand Master, lauding his exceptional heroism and psychic prowess. Even as Drago's curse took hold and he began to fade from real space, Voldus swore an oath to live up to this great honor, one of which he did not truly believe himself worthy of. But he still strives towards this goal in all of his actions, offering prayers to the Emperor of Mankind for strength and guidance. Since taking up the mantle of Grand Master, Voldus has been instrumental in guiding the actions of the Grey Knights. After consulting with the prognosticars, Voldus and a small strike force rushed to Macragge to aid the Ultramarines in what later would be known as the Siege of Hera. These warriors would bear witness to a miracle of faith and technology, the resurrection of the Primarch, Robute Guilliman. Voldus and his battle brothers fought side by side with the Primarch against the legions of the heretic Astartes on Macragge. They slew demon and traitor across the reaches of space, through the twisting paths of the Webway, and on the surface of Luna. Voldus even accompanied Guilliman to Holy Terra, straight to the doors of the Emperor's throne room. In his brief tenure, Voldus has played a greater part in the fate of the Imperium than perhaps any other living Grand Master. And that's pretty much the lore on Voldus in a nutshell. So let's move on to the new unit in the Grey Knights, the Chaplains. To see a chaplain in combat is to behold the true face of the angels of death. Adorned with ornate sigils and crowned with a skull death mask, a chaplain is a symbol of brutal mortality and unquestioning zeal. Their presence on the battlefield breeds fear in their enemies and inspires their fellow battle brothers to ever greater acts of righteous violence. They are the speakers of the Emperor's word, and a living reminder to other Space Marines that, though the flesh may die, the immortal soul and the legacy of the chapter must be preserved. Chaplains are the spiritual leaders of the chapter. Within the Grey Knights, the chaplains lead their battle brothers in prayer at great gatherings in the Hall of Champions. New recruits receive tutelage in the chapter's scriptures and dicta through a chaplain's fervently bellowed litanies, and it is the chaplain who administers merciless and often fatal discipline to those who question or waver in their dedication. None save the Supreme Grand Master himself holds more authority than the chaplain in ensuring the purity of each battle brother's soul. To a Grey Knight chaplain, the 666 verses of contempt are tools with which he can tap the latent passion and vigor that is a hypno indoctrinated into each battle brother during his creation. His words sharpen the hatred of those he leads, so that they may inflict the most devastating blows against their enemies. Now, chaplains are themselves fearsome warriors, and are often drawn from the most spiritually pure members of the Paladins. They wield a Corrosius Arcanum, which acts as both their rod of office and their weapon of preference. With each mighty strike of this ornate mace, surges of crackling energy tear through flesh, armor, and bone of their foes. And that concludes the lore on the chaplains of the Grey Knights. Really awesome model. Can't wait to get my hands on a chaplain so I can convert it over to these holy warriors of the Emperor. But now let's jump to the Nemesis Dread Knights and the new version of it, which houses the mighty Grand Master within. So let's dive into that lore. So a Nemesis Dread Knight is a marvel of technology. At its indomitable heart is an adamantium alloy skeleton, whose great limbs are given life by a compact but powerful plasma reactor. Over this are layered a series of bound ceramite plates and armored control linkages. Once a Grey Knight is strapped onto the command harness of the Dread Knight's form, a synaptic implant gives him control of the machine's limbs and weapon systems, essentially granting him a surrogate body far mightier and more durable than his own. When matched with the Nemesis Dread Knight's devastating weapon systems, the all but impenetrable force field that protects the otherwise exposed pilot, this combination serves to elevate the Grey Knight's combat abilities to a point where he can withstand the blows of even the mightiest greater demon, and then unleash a fearsome counterattack in reply. Such a fearsome weapon of war is the Dread Knight, that the Grey Knights would easily have every member of their order wield it. However, not all Grey Knights have the strength in mind or subtlety of reaction required to master the exoskeleton's many combat stances. Only very few battle brothers show enough aptitude to begin the training, let alone be dimmed to fit such a weapon in battle. If the pilot is unable to devote enough of their psychic energy to maneuvering the war machine, it will remain inert. For to rouse the powerful machine spirit that inhabits a Dread Knight requires an enormous feat of willpower. Even then, a battle brother must also reserve a portion of their mind in order to maintain their aegis, for they will be little good if they leave themselves susceptible to the enemy. On the other hand, if the pilot directs even slightly too much psychic force to the articular servos, the colossal limbs of the Dread Knight may retch and violently and suddenly tear the Grey Knight's own limbs from his own torso. This is to say nothing of the control required to wield such a great weapon, to deliver the earth-shattering blows to the monsters of chaos, and to slice through the hides of towering greater demons. To become a Grand Master of the Grey Knights is a rare honor, and one that only the strongest-willed warriors earn. It is no surprise that many such lordly heroes possess the mental fortitude required to enter the battle-clad raiments of the Nemesis Dread Knight. Deep within the Grey Knight's fastness on Titan lies the halls of giants, an echoing cloister lined with candlelit alcoves. Within these loom ancient and revered Dread Knight suits, reserved for the use of the chapter's Grand Masters. Whether teleporting into battle at the head of an elite strike force, striding out to duel the greatest demon lords, or embarking upon some doom-laden personal quest, when Grand Masters combine their exceptional might with that of the Nemesis Dread Knight, no malefic entity can stand against their might. And finally, we come to the gunships of the Grey Knight, which streak over the battlefield like bolts of silver lightning. So let's begin with the Storm Talon gunship. While the chapter often deploys them as Codex Astartes advises, as heavily armed escorts to the bulkier Storm Raven transport, Grey Knight Storm Talons also see use as a vanguard assault craft, where their adaptability and firepower render them invaluable. Even such a single vessel operating in psychic cohort with a strike force of Battle Brothers can cut a bloody swath through a demonic war host, allowing its brethren free rein to strike at the heart of the foe. Though they specialize in the destruction of ground targets, Storm Talons are also adept in air-to-air combat, able to burn winged demon engines from the sky with a salvo of consecrated warheads. The Stormhawk Interceptor. The secret history of the Grey Knights is replete with tales of duels fought between noble champions and soul-hungering monsters from the depths of the Empyrean. Often these legendary contests were fought with blade and claw, yet no small number took place in the roiling skies above a battlefield, where lightning-fast Stormhawk interceptors engaged warp-spawn drakes in death-defying displays of aeronautical skill. Stormhawks are peerless dogfighting craft, sleek, swift, and bristling with weaponry, including the devastating forward last talon that can punch straight through the thickest demonic flesh metal, and the Icarus Storm Cannon, whose gyro-scrying arrays lock onto the swiftest winged monstrosities. To the tech marines of the Grey Knights, they are noble and redoubtful steeds, their restless machine spirits ever eager to take to the skies in search of fresh abominations to slay. The Grey Knights maintain several attack wings of Stormhawks, whose task it is to clear the stratosphere ahead of a full-scale ground deployment. The intrepid deliverers, ever at the forefront of the Grey Knights' Holy Crusade, find particular use for these vessels, counting amongst its number such renowned squadrons as the Spear of Titan and the Endamus Flight. And there you have it, guys. That was all the new units that are now in this 8th edition Codex for the Grey Knights. Now, as you guys know, I do personally have a Grey Knight army, so hopefully I can put that to use this Sunday as I go against either Necrons, Tyranids, or Space Wolves. Maybe Salamanders, so just gotta wait and see, and hopefully I will be able to put out that battle report so you guys can watch it pretty soon. So wish my holy warriors might and power, for they will strike down any enemy before them. Now, this codex has a bunch of new stuff in it. This was just the new units in it, so stay tuned because there will be a part 2 to this, I guess, new codex reveal speculation lore thing. I don't even know what to call it. But yeah, they've got some stratagems, they got some new war gear and whatnot, some relics, so we'll go into that at a later time. But for now, that's all I've got. So, as always, I'm the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.